Welcome to the Funeral Funds Life Insurance Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Vandervate from Funeral Funds of America, and you can find us at funeralfunds.com. That's funeral, Funds.com. Whether you're interested in term life, whole life, annuities, disability, business continuation, or final expense life insurance funding, we have you covered. Our team of experienced professionals will guide you through the complexities of insurance products to help you make an informed decision. In this podcast, I'm going to be discussing how to choose the best company for your final expense life insurance. Now, this is an interesting subject because when you get a final expense life insurance policy, you actually want it to work when it's required the most, and that's when you pass away. And one of the worst things you could do is get with an insurance company or get an insurance policy that wasn't what you thought it was, or, just there was something that was missing that you weren't aware of. So we're going to go over 5 things here and get you on a better path to make sure you end up with the right policy. So the first thing you should look for in a final expense life insurance company is financial stability. You just want to choose a company that is financially stable and they have a strong track record of being in business, number one. So we've got some companies that have been in business since like 1895. We've got a number of companies that have been in business over 100 years. And we generally prefer the companies that have been in business like 60 to 80 to 100 years. It's just a good, solid company. They've been around through all sorts of financial instability, and they've got active reserves that are enough to pay claims and everything. And chances are you're just going to be really terrifically suited for one of those plans, and they're going to really benefit you by being there when you need them the most. You also want a company that has a really good track record of paying claims. That's why you got this policy in the first place, is when you pass away, you're just wanting to make sure that your loved ones don't have to pay for your final expenses. So some of that can be kind of difficult as a consumer to find out on your own. So you really need to go with a trusted source. And in almost every case, that's going to be your agent. And we're a broker at Funeral Funds of America. That means we work with a whole bunch of different insurance companies. We're not married to any single one of them. What we basically do is go around and hunt the best policy for you. And we don't work for the insurance companies. When you come to us, we actually work for you. So what we'll do is we'll just search around for companies with high ratings, and those companies are going to be rated by like AM Best or Moody's or Standard and Poor's, something like that. And we'll actually find you the best policy with the best company that's has just decades, if not centuries, of financial stability, so that you can just go to bed each night knowing that if tomorrow is your last day, that insurance policy is going to pay out. The number two thing you should consider when choosing the best company for your final expense life insurance is riders. And you may not know what riders are in an insurance policy. They're things that are added on to the policy. In many cases, as long as you go with the right insurance company, in many cases, those are added in at no extra cost to you. The funny thing is even though they're added in, some agents don't include them. And in many cases, it's just a matter of checking a box on the application or the request for coverage. And we just always make sure we want to include those benefits in because they don't cost you any money and they can really benefit you in the future. So the number one that we think is really most valuable, it's an accelerated living benefit rider. So we greatly prefer companies that have 100% accelerated living benefit. And I'm just going to read the language off one of those companies. It says, benefits may be accelerated if the insured is diagnosed with the terminal illness that is reasonable medical certainty will result in death of the insured in 12 months or less. And what that means is that if you're diagnosed with a terminal illness and you have less than 12 months to live, you could pull out 100% of the face amount of your policy. So if you had a $20,000 policy and you were diagnosed with a terminal illness, you could pull out all $20,000 and close out the claim, close out the policy. And you might be going, well, why would I ever want to do that? I want that money to be around for when I pass away. Aha, here's the benefit. Most of us, if we were diagnosed with a terminal illness, we'd be devastated, of course. But most of us, after we got over the shock of everything, we would probably be inclined to say, hey, I would like to take care of everything beforehand so that my family doesn't have to just scramble for this after I've passed away. So what that will allow you to do is, if let's just talk a $20,000 policy. If you pulled the entire $20,000 out, you could go down to the funeral home and say, hey, I want to prepay everything. I know I'm going to pass away in the next 12 months. I just want everything prepaid, and I just don't want my family have to worry about a thing. And they can help you do that. Now, make sure you go with a reputable company, because you want to make sure that they're going to be in business 12 months from now. But yeah, what you can do is just prepay that, and then you can just keep those documents with your other important documents. Certainly let some family members know that all that's been taken care of. And then when you do pass away, all they've got to do is make a phone call, and everything's taken care of, and everything's paid off. And here's the thing: if you had a $20,000 policy, it's not going to take $20,000 if if you died right now. So let's say they were able to do it for 10,000. Now you're left with $10,000. So maybe you had some debt that needed to be paid off, or maybe, this is the fun one. You know, what if there was always that trip, that vacation that you always wanted to do, but you never had the money for? So maybe even take the family. So now you've got $10,000 that, no strings attached. It's your money from the insurance company settlement. And you could take that final trip and have those final memories and leave your family members with a memory that would last their lifetime, and would certainly last your lifetime, up, up until when you pass away. So it's really terrific option. And we love that one, and we make sure that if it's available, we always include it. The other rider, which is kind of nice sometimes, it's called a nursing home confinement, because as we know, a lot of times as we get older and we're kind of in our final stages of life, we got to go to the nursing home, and those bills can add up fast. So that nursing home confinement rider can really be beneficial. So let me read that right from one of our insurance companies too. It says, benefits may also be accelerated if the insured is confined continuously to a qualified nursing home, with confinement expected to continue until the insured's death. Nursing home confinement rider, nursing home confinement must begin after the effective date of the policy. That just simply means your policy would have to be enforced, and you would have to enter into the nursing home after the policy, meaning you couldn't be in the nursing home and get the policy and have that benefit. So what's really nice about that one too, let's say it's a $20,000 policy, and you want to get your funeral prepaid for $10,000. And now you've got 10,000 you can apply to the nursing home, because we just know they're tremendously expensive, and you probably don't have those funds in your bank account anyway. And that's just a way to relieve the financial pressure and make sure that your family doesn't have to worry about those at all. There's one other rider. We don't really recommend it like too much. It's kind of a nice to have, I guess, maybe, but the chances of it paying out are just so remote. And that's an accidental death. Most accidental deaths are happening to younger people who are doing more risky behaviors, and kind of, just not being smart about assuring that they're going to live a long time. But most people in 60s, 70s, and 80s, the chance of them dying from an accidental death is just super remote. And, some companies allow you to add that in for an extra cost. A lot of times it doesn't cost a lot. If you think you might enjoy having that in place, no harm, no foul, do it. Just understand that, chances are it's not going to pay out. And in many cases, you'd probably just be better off just getting a little bit more guaranteed coverage. But that one's really up to kind of you and your comfort level. But by the same token, if you died of accidental death, in many cases, it's going to double the face amount. Say you had a $20,000 policy. If you die of an accidental death, that would pay out an extra $20,000. So there'd be a total of 40,000. So in certain situations, it's nice. It might be nice in some cases where you can't afford all this insurance you really want. And, if God forbid, if it was an accidental death, it would then take care of it. So the other thing that you should take a look at are number three, when choosing a company for final expense life insurance, is underwriting requirements. So different insurance companies have different underwriting requirements, and that's kind of a technical word, but what it means is they ask different health questions. And some may be more strict and some may be more lenient. Some don't even ask any health questions at all. We typically don't recommend those plans that don't ask health questions because those come with mandatory 2-year waiting periods where they won't pay any death benefit, life insurance death benefit if you die in the first 2 years from any health or medical related cause of death. So just the important thing is that different insurance companies ask different health questions and they all have different underwriting requirements. That's why we work with so many different insurance companies at Funeral Funds of America, because we specialize in first day coverage. And some companies are much more forgiving of some health conditions than other companies. And we find no greater joy in life than getting people first day coverage. I know we're weird that way. But yeah, first day coverage is really so important because none of us knows if we're going to be here, in 2 years, in 2 days, in 2 hours, or in 2 minutes. So it is so important to get first day coverage just from, protecting your family and loved ones, but also financially because the first day coverage policies are so much less expensive than the 2-year waiting period plans. I mean, there's one company we've done quite a bit of research and done a tremendous amount of rate shopping on. And in most cases, that 2-year waiting period plan is right around 200% more expensive than our lowest cost first day coverage plan. You might think, well, that's kind of weird. Shouldn't the companies that ask no health questions be less expensive? No, because those plans are designed for the sickest of the sick people that can't qualify for first day coverage. So maybe a terminal illness, dementia, dialysis in a hospital or in a nursing home. So they're always going to be more expensive. And then the fourth thing when choosing a company for your final expense life insurance is customer service. And this one it's kind of not as big of a deal until it's a big deal. And there's some companies out there that we've actually worked with in the past and that we actually canceled our contract with them because what good does it do you to work with an insurance company that you can never get in hold of, and they put you on phone systems where you can never talk with a human, or when you call up, you're always going to have a 30-minute to an hour wait. It is so unproductive on our end to deal with insurance companies because a lot of times when there's something that happens with somebody's policy, they need to change bank info or beneficiary, stuff like that. We greatly prefer just to hop on the phone with that person to the insurance company. And I tell you what, if an insurance company is making us wait 30 minutes or an hour, we don't want to do business with them. And, so many times you may get an answer and then you've got to call back and you've got another 30 to 60 minutes to wait. So there's some companies out there that are absolutely terrible. And if they're terrible in that, are they going to be terrible when paying claims and dealing with all other issues? We don't recommend some companies, and we don't want to name them on the podcast, but certainly if you're looking for something or you want help with that, just reach out to us privately, 888-862-9456, or at funeralfunds.com. We can certainly help you out with that. And then really the fifth thing to consider when choosing the best company for your final expense life insurance policy is pricing. Now, we wouldn't we would never say shop only on price, because that's how you kind of get in trouble. And there's companies out there that have these like really low teaser rates. They're kind of meant to tease you just to get your information, and then they can get you in their marketing funnel, and then they can like beat you down and finally sell you insurance. At least kind of that's what we think anyway. But yeah, so you should definitely, in almost every case, just avoid those plans. Like, if you see a company that says, hey, $1 for your first month, you just let that be a red flag. That's going to be term life insurance. The price is going to go up every 5 months, and they're going to cancel your policy once you get beyond age 80. We don't recommend that. What about those plans? You've probably seen those ones commercials on TV, 995, right? But that's 995 per unit. You're not going to get $20,000 for 995. No, it's per unit. And as you get older, your coverage amount per unit gets smaller and smaller. I mean, we've looked at some of these plans where like one unit might get like $400 worth of coverage. What good is $400 worth of coverage? That's not even going to pay for cremation. It might pay for flowers. But again, that's a 2-year waiting period plan, and it's going to be on average 200% more expensive than a first aid coverage plan. So I can tell you one thing. We are always focused on price and getting the lowest coverage. But by the same token, if you get a low price from a company that's just difficult to deal with, or they're slow paying claims, or they've got a lot of complaints for not paying claims, or your price increases over time, or any number of things, stay away from those. You want a balance of price and value. So we will always do our best to get you the lowest price. We can pull out our quoter and show you the exact same prices that we're looking at. You can go to just about any page on our website at funeral funds.com. And we've got free quoters, and you can just put your birthday in there and search for coverage amount, and you can see the actual pricing as well. There's nothing to hide with Funeral Funds of America. You can shop around, and then when you find something you like, just reach out to us at funeralfunds.com or 888-862-9456. So, my name again is Randy Vandervate, and I hope this podcast has been helpful for you. Funeral Funds of America can help you qualify for first aid coverage or benefits at funeralfunds.com or at 888-862-9456.